Hi friends, this is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average Canadian wolfpack come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A safe space where being yourself is the ultimate goal. Each week we will bring you new episodes sharing our opinions on a ton of different topics in hopes we can get a better understanding of ourselves, each other, and this crazy world we live in. We want to build a community where we can show up as ourselves, be real, and lay it all out there. By sharing our opinions and experiences, we hope to reach others who can relate so we can all help each other learn, grow, and heal. But please keep in mind, as a disclaimer, none of us here are professionals. No one is giving any advice. We are strictly speaking of our life experiences, our opinions, and for entertainment purposes only. Now, with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Everyone, welcome back to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. We hope that you have a good time. And if you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy and I am the host of the show. And today, y'all, we are on our fourth segment of Cults or Not, Cult Mania. So guys, we had one cult specific to end this series that we started our first month of season 5. However, we really wanted to make sure that we're going to hit another two that are very mainstream media that everybody knows. They're very big, they're very dark. So we decided to switch it up a little bit and actually bring you 3 cults this episode. I'm not going to tell them now. You're going to have to wait until we jump into it, but you're going to get 3 for this last one. So excited. I hope you guys have been enjoying this whole segment on Cult or Not. It's been so fun and a little dark, I'm not gonna lie. Kind of excited to go back to a little bit more of like government reading. For some reason it's a bit easier to sleep at nighttime with government corruption over, this shit. But it's been so much fun and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. By now we have published a couple Being Real Withs. We hope that you guys are really enjoying those episodes too. As promised, season 5, we turned up the heat by giving you double the episodes, giving you stuff that we love to talk about on top of bringing back real life experiences in human talk and connection, which we absolutely love. So before we get on to the show, if you are watching on YouTube or Rumble, can you please make sure to subscribe, turn on those notification bells, and if you have time, hit that like button. If you are listening on the audio platforms like Spotify or Apple, if you guys can also give us a follow and give us a review, it helps people follow us. And as always, guys, following us on our social media. We are going hard this season with Instagram, Facebook. Yes, I have made the commitment and have been posting since season 5 started on Facebook. And we've also started a Pinterest page for those that are really just not interested in the social media platforms, but want to find a way to connect with us during an app. There is other things going on in the background, but that is a pretty big list right now, so we'll stick to that. So if you can give us a follow, guys, share, tag, like all of our reels, let us know what you guys think. We absolutely appreciate it so much. So let's get on to the show and let's finish this Cults or Not series with me and Hales. Let's get on to the show. All right, babes, it's time to get on to the final, unfortunately, episode of Cults or Not, but yay, Cult Mania with my babe Hales. Hey, babe.
Hey.
Happy Sunday. Happy Cult Day.
Thank you. I have a co-host, Smokey.
Smokey, I love it. We have so many co-hosts on this show.
He's very interested in this topic. He's excited for today's episode.
Oh, we're excited too. Like I said, guys, last segment, and instead of just doing 1, we thought we would do 3 because we had one picked, and then as we were developing into this, we're like, okay, there is 2 that are very well known and very dark that we have to touch on. So how about each one of us take our own and run with it? So it's tax season, so Dee has passed over her notes for today, and me and Hales are gonna share you guys what we found about our last 3 cults of the season. And if you guys let us know, because we'll bring it back, because there's a lot, man.
It's so much fun, and there's literally, we could do an episode per. Like, I feel like the one I looked into could be like a multi-part type deal. Like, it is, there's absolutely so much information and so like much intricacy that it's
all scratch surfaces. Yeah, it's been fun, and it's like so what we did is, as you guys see, in the progression got darker, and then today we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to start out with mine, which was like just more disturbing and just kind of like does not look good for Jesus. I'm not going to lie. And then Hales is going to take it a bit darker, and then we're going to finish with like I don't know. The last two are like, I say like very close. But Danielle's is like extreme. Yeah, and well known. And you know, like everyone knows as soon as you say the one sentence. So yeah, anyways, guys, fun starting off with Scientology. If you guys haven't watched that one, that was fun. And then we went to NXIVM, and then we went to Children of God, or Family International is what they ended up being.
The family.
The family.
Like the mafia.
And just like, it's anyways. And then, so we're going to start on this episode with the community of Jesus. And there is a reason why I picked this one, and you'll see at the end as we go on. And you guys, I'm sorry if you're watching video, you're going to watch me read these notes, because we said before, too, like
both of us are going to be screwed.
Oh yeah.
I have 2.5 pages or almost 3 pages of notes. Like, this is ridiculous. And this is all handwritten. Like,
I love it.
Nick's looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, research. Leave me alone. I'm working. I gotta write.
I'm working, babe. I gotta write. Yeah. I'm a journalist. I gotta, in our own way, right? Like, because I don't always want to get it wrong, because my stoner brain, between all of the ones we've been reading, like, there's so many similarities,
they've melted together in so many weird ways.
And I'm having weird ass dreams. So, Community of Jesus is a charismatic monastic Christian community which is located near Rock Harbor in Orleans, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. So the difference with this particular community, cult or not, you decide, is that they're very like restricted, and they're very community. Like, everyone lives around the church,
like in one base,
one base like, on Cape Cod. Yeah, it's not like the other ones, branches. No, it is all in one area. The church, everyone lives around it together like a community. And it is, right? So they say it's a monastery in the Benedictine, I'm going to butcher all of these words, tradition, whose mission is to be faithful witness to the gospel of Jesus Christ, and by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit to glorify God through worship, the common life, and the creative arts. So essentially, from what I've read, is that they're born again Christians, and they all come from like different backgrounds. There's about 275 people in total that come from like Presbyterian, Episcopalian, Congregational, Baptist, Lutheran, Anglican, Methodist, Pentecostal, and Roman Catholic. So yeah, all these people that left those religions or groups, and then they all came together for the Community of Jesus, because it was essentially like give up everything and come and live and work and create and pray every day. And
that's where you'd lose me. I am so confused when it comes to the whole like true religion thing, like God, Jesus, everything, all of it, every single one of them, like denominations. Like, I just am not sure about that. So if someone came to me with that story, it'd be an instant like, it is, and it's like, there's just so many, I just get so lost in it, and I like, maybe that's my bad, and one day hopefully I'll learn all of this. I just feel like there's so many labels, and whichever, I mean, but anyways, yeah, so according to the group, approximately 225 members together with another 50, so 275 children and young people live as households in 30 privately owned multifamily homes that surround the church and the guest house. This also includes 25 celibate brothers who are living in the Zion Friary, and the 60 celibate sisters who are living in the Bethany Covenant. So one of the girls that started it... They have a friar and a covenant? Yes, they have both. And then and the church, and then the houses all the way around. Yeah. It's like like, not to be rude, because I love the Amish, and like I love, but it's like they create their own community, like quite literally. Okay.
Yes, and everyone eats together. Everyone does everything together. They work together. They're very much about music. Yeah, they all. You should see. There's a. Yeah, if you guys watch, go look. Just go look. Community. I'll send it to you after. I'll remember to try and post it. But it's called the Community of Jesus. Look it up on YouTube, and it's like the Centennial reported on it, like in like 1993. And these videos
the best
are
footage. I can see it in my head.
Did you see it? It's like that purple, like our
that
like
grainy.
Our purple. Yeah, that very grainy, like dun, 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 you know, those kind of noises.
Love it.
Fuck. So yeah, that's kind of, you know, and they so the Community of Jesus was founded back to 2 Episcopal lay women, which if you go look on Reddit, it says that they were 2 lazy drunk housewives. I'll let you guys decide. It just kind of made me giggle when I was looking it up. I was like, that's not what I expected to read. But anyways, so housewives.
That's amazing.
Isn't it? I laughed so hard. I was like,
I would have too. Are you kidding me?
I'll try and post it. So there was Kay Anderson and Judy Sorensen who met in 1958 at the Church of the Holy Spirits in Orleans. So it said that they, like, I can't remember which one it was. I forgot to write it down. One of them was sick and they prayed together and she healed. And so they decided to essentially like give up life and go and give everything and build a community to the gospel, to, you know.
Jeez.
Yeah. So that's
so it's true Bible. Like they're
yes.
very like it is one. This one is 100% religious.
100% religious.
Is there like does it get freaky? Like is there anything weird? Or are they just like true like Bible thumping groupies?
Yeah, that's kind of like everything. Everyone works together. They they eat together. So it was kind of all over the place. You're either celibate or there was like couples, and it didn't sound like there was very much forced like
reproduction.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like commingling. It was more like if you weren't trying to have a kid, you were living in sin. So it was like some sort of form of controlling the sexual life, but not in the ways we've seen other ones. It was more like if you're not having a child or trying, you're living in sin, and everything is a sin. Yeah, if you weren't actively. Yeah, everything is religious based. So if you were sick, that's because you were sinning. And so
well, damn, okay.
Yes. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so at the very beginning, just like all that, they'd be very bombarded with love, and that's why people were very attracted to it, because it was like, come here, work, on the grounds, we'll work together, we pray, all these things, like
just full community.
Yes, full community. Okay. But when you get in, that's when things kind of change and you start getting very criticized. So there's these things called light sessions that they have, and light groups, sorry. Auditing, essentially. So what it is you sit in a group and someone's picked and you are to bring your sins to the light. So you have to
public shaming secrets. Auditing.
Public shaming
auditing.
Public shaming.
So they public shame them?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh. So they're psychological too then. They're all kinds of crazy.
They were all kinds of crazy. That's exactly what they wanted to do. So they were so brainwashed that they would actually thank them for the beatings, because that was getting the sin out of them.
They're physically beaten too.
They were physically beaten as well. Yep. And a lot of this time,
like with what? With like belts or like
people would like punch, like so like wives them? wives would be in ties to punch and slap their husbands and beat them. These groups would be called all day and all night. It didn't matter. They were just kind of all over the place. But a lot of the times they said it would happen at dinner, and one person would just get picked and everyone had to shame and humiliate them and like break them down.
So they encouraged like full ass bullying and harassment. And...
Yeah. So the sisters, they believed that they were God's anointed like sisters. Like they knew the words, and everything they said was
this that two that you mentioned, or is this like a
No, it was the two that I mentioned. Just them.
Okay.
Yep. Mother, I think it was like Sister K, Mother K. I didn't write that one down.
Yeah.
So they essentially controlled everything. So if you were sick, it was your fault. You were sinning. Something's wrong with you. And by shaming and doing all of that, that would get it out. One former member told that she was obviously sexually sick, and that's why she got molested as a child, is because she was sexually perverted and she wanted it. And that was her sin.
So everything that happens to you is your fault, is what they're saying. Like everything negative that happens to you, you brought upon yourself.
Yes. Everything.
Wow, that's so nice of them.
Isn't that gross?
Dude, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So the Community of Jesus has been accused in the past of being a cult. Former community members go back decades and have alleged they were mentally and physically abused. As a child, this past member, White, said that members shoved his head into the floor and would force him to eat his own vomit, according to the report. There was another lady that said,
like, they never really cease to amaze me, but like sometimes like the degradation that people will put up with just because they think that it's either bettering something or they're following someone they're supposed to, like, is actually so heartbreaking that people can be like mentally broken so far that they will do stuff like eat
and to give up their kids in the name of God or in the name of Christ or in the name of whatever
is
they're
it like
following.
Scientology where they take them away and like school them
themselves?
Yes,
same thing. Yep, absolutely. And they've did that all the time. Okay. Took them away and said that they weren't doing the right thing for them.
That makes no sense to me. No, I don't get why they do that.
No,
it's very weird.
Another thing that I didn't love, well, there's this other survivor too in that series. I'll try and save it. She said that she was told to lie her face and her forehead, her nose and her forehead to the floor for 12 hours straight. She wasn't allowed to eat. She wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom. Nothing. A couple
As
other
punishment
things.
For something?
Yeah, punishment, humiliation. Around 1973, one of the sisters, Anderson, became involved in promoting the diet, discipline, and discipleship 3D weight loss program, which seemed to focus on sin and guilt as a way of weight loss. So they were just like very focused on everything that was wrong with you was because you were sinning and it's your fault and fix it.
So starve yourself and get skinny so you're happy and stop. Yeah. Like, what is that? That's awful.
Isn't it awful?
They take it next level. They're like completely like psychologically and mentally like fucking these people.
Yes, and in this chronicles that they showed too, it wasn't these ladies, but it was a lady who's the director now, and she was like, this is all alleged stuff. Like, we were hard, but that's not correct. Like, this just isn't correct. And the lady's like, but they're saying brutal. This. And she was like, no. They were also included in a book in 1990.
They were misinformed.
They're misinformed, yeah. Book called Churches That Abuse by Ron Enroth, which I thought was kind of interesting in the 1990s. That they were actually put into a book about churches that abuse people. Like,
it's on record, like it's on full, record, like paperback
in a
record.
Fucking book. It's not like now where you can just send anything into Indigo and you print a book. Also in 1993, allegations of abuse were explored on the Chronicle News magazine, which aired on Channel 5 in Boston, Massachusetts, which I think is the one that I watched. Anderson died in 1988, so like quite early, like not too far into this, and Sorensen died in 2009.
Wow.
Yeah, so according to the Barnstable Patriot per town assessment records, the church currently owns $20 million in real estate in New Orleans or in Orleans. So, and they were building a multi-million-dollar church. Compound and if you go, if you go to their website, like as you're trying to see it, it's just like essentially all about this church that they're building. Like everything is about this church that they're building. And I just thought that was really interesting. I was like, what is your purpose? And all I kept saying is like, to live the gospel, but it wasn't like their mission. It was like this church that we're building. And I'm like, but what do you do? Like,
I just wanted a place to be creepy and worship.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, the community itself, there was
tell them to starve themselves.
Yeah, so it was just very like tight knit community. Again, like if you leave, like you're gonna not survive. You're gonna get pregnant and knocked up, and you're not gonna be accepted by God. So just a lot of brainwashing. And just very tight-knit community. So the reason I found this, like I was saying, so there's more to this. So controversy surrounding alleged abuse further emerged through a successful class action lawsuit against Grenville Christian College, which has close ties to the Community of Jesus. So Grenville's co-founders were all members of the Community of Jesus, including pastors Betty and Charles Farnsworth, who served as headmaster, and fellow headmaster Alistair Haig and his wife, each whom was named in the lawsuit. The Haigs divorced. I don't know why this matters. Blah, blah, blah. So anyways, Grenville College. This is a former private boarding school located in the rural community of Maitland, about 8 kilometers northeast of Brockville, Ontario, on the banks of St. Lawrence River. So this was an independent university preparatory school, which was composed of upper, middle, and elementary and primary schools. Students had the option of being day, full-time boarders, or weekday boarders.
So it was like elementary to high school?
Yeah, all the way through.
Like kindergarten to 12 type thing, K to 12 type school?
Yeah, rich Christian school, like boarding school that you would send your kids off to live
so they've got dorms and they've got...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So like Hogwarts.
Exactly, and it's beautiful, dude. Like if I was like a parent and I seen that and it was just like,
your kids getting an education. Like
yes, in a beautiful spot. Yeah, like good people. The campus was built in 1918 as St. Mary's College, a preparatory school run by something Order of the Catholic Church. It was operated until 1968. The campus was purchased in 1969 by a group called the Grenville Christian Schools, who envisioned using it as a training missionaries. Although the exact timeline is unclear, it began as a private school in 1969, was renamed Grenville Christian College in 1973. After 37 years, Grenville Christian College announced its closure July 30, 2007, citing declining enrollment and unspecified financial pressures.
So it ended in 2007?
Yeah, in 2007, because apparently a lot of people weren't enrolling. Or is it because
they realize you're crazy and don't want no part of that?
Or there's abuse allegations. I watched this video, which I'll remember to post. This is how I felt, because I was like, Cults Canada, and this is what popped up. And so I watched the 45-minute documentary on it. So the broadcast documentary launched February 6, 2016, in tandem to the launch of the book Grenville by Andrew Hale Byrne, which highlighted the close relationships between the Anglican Diocese of Ontario and Grenville College, which has now become established a fact in court that the OPP investigation into abuse of the students has been reopened.
Oh, wow.
So this is where it gets really sad. There is a lot of sexual and abuse at this school in Ontario. Toronto Star followed up this reporting February 29, 2016, where students reported that they had been punched in the groin and urinated on by staff, among other abuses. Farnsworth, Robert Farnsworth, the son of the founding family was arrested October 5th and then cleared of allegations. Students allege extreme and bizarre humiliation. Dan Mitchelson enrolled at the college in 1985 when he was 15 years old. In an interview with Star, he said that by the time he left 4 years later, he was a wreck. He alleged that 2 weeks after arriving at Grenville, a staff woke him up by punching him in the groin, an apparent punishment for talking in his sleep. He said he was then dragged into the washroom and forced to clean it with a toothbrush. The staff member then urinated on him as he scrubbed the floor. He said he was often berated by staff who called him disgusting, evil, a pig, and a mutt. Now 46, he said he's been left with debilitating self-esteem problems as the result of the alleged abuse. He said, after a while, I just realized that I was a loser, that I was shit, that I would just shut my mouth, and the doubt is always there now.
So in my opinion, their whole thing is mental breaking, mental breaking point. Like, they want you at your absolute lowest. They're going to take every ounce of self-worth that you have and just spit and piss on it, apparently. Literally. And they want you a broken person so they can control you. That's the part about some of these that just someone at the head wants control. It's always about control and the power over people. And it's such a common theme, and it's just so sad to know that so many people are so just, I don't know,
bent on this power
and broke by it because of things that have happened to them, and I don't know, it's just, I hate that. I hate the manipulation. I find that so vile, and it's just such a low form of, I don't know.
And it always starts with these kids, right? It is.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
Right from the beginning, so they live with it for the rest of their life.
Well, that's why though. They're impressionable. They're young. They can't do anything. They can't fight back. And it's a religious school, right? So it's probably run by freaking nuns and
and so many people are we knew it was kind of happening, but then we didn't, and it goes back and forth. Where it's
would
just
they have
we knew, but we didn't know.
What would they be called? Reverends, fathers,
sisters. I think it was sisters. Yeah, sisters.
So it's just women running this. That's even worse.
No, there's men. There's men that ran it. There's a man that was on it. But yeah. Let's see. What else? Yeah, I already read that part. In 2007, the OPP began investigating 2 former headmasters who were also Anglican priests, the chair of the school board of directors, and the bishop of Diocese of Ontario denied that the school was ever formally affiliated with the Anglican Church of Canada. Jesus. Anglican priests and bishops had often officiated the school's chapel, as did representatives of other denominations. The school chose to fly an Anglican flag. So it seemed like nobody wanted to really even just associate with them.
Yeah, or do anything about it.
Yeah, since the school's closing, some former students have claimed punishments by silence and separation, discipline, a form of internal suspension, and a well-being, woken in the middle of the night by having bright lights shone on their faces and being interrogated about their alleged sins. The former co-publisher of a local newspaper has stated that his newspaper became aware of the allegations of religious cult practices at Grenville College in the late 1980s, but was unable to convince anyone to publicize the story. The paper was also threatened with libel action by the Bay Street law firm.
I was going to say, I wonder why. Happens. They're obviously being threatened.
Always happens. And it's there was also the children of the staff, and it was kind of in different groups, right? So it's and people put their kids here from all over the place because it was like this rich, fancy, you know, and the one of the headmasters, it was so creepy. It was just like, he was like, we just want like one mother, you know, like how it used to be, and like that could spank their bottoms and like tough love, and that's what we do here. And it's like, how could you? What are you?
If anyone said that about my child, I'd kill them. Like, you're not treating my child like. I just.
I don't.
It's
understand
crazy how
this.
I don't. It's such a deep-rooted thing that people like don't want to know or don't care about how like prevalent, I can't say that word, prevalent child abuse is, and like it happens everywhere, and like in all weird forms, and like mental abuse, in my opinion, like belittling them, degrading them, like making them feel like they're stupid and trash, like that is low. That I don't like so that. Low. It's always disgusting. So hard to hear that kind of shit.
It absolutely
and then it like went on for like how long unnoticed, and years. Some kids are just like irreparably like
damaged,
traumatized
forever.
And damaged, and like carry so much baggage from that.
Yeah, and there'll be some people that are alleging like against it, saying this is absolutely not correct. Like there was rules and it was rigid and it was very like structured, but we needed that. And it's like, but that might be your experience. That doesn't mean it's everybody's.
It doesn't invalidate someone else's like shitty experience.
No,
like you said, they like to pick on people. Maybe it was just someone that they chose to pick on got it worse than you, and you can't just say that.
Yeah, you're easily brainwashed, so they didn't have to go hard on you. But to wrap this one up before we jump into our next one, in February 2020, after a trial that spanned 2 months, former students won the class action lawsuit against the former Grenville Christian College for the physical, sexual, and extreme emotional abuse and demeaning discipline and humiliation they and others say they endured during the college's 24 years of operation. Justice Janet Leiper, of Ontario Superior Court of Justice said the college and the estates of 2 deceased former headmasters will have to pay yet to be determined punitive damages. She said that it was like without a doubt.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and they said without a doubt there was abuse that happened here like for years. Like there's like for 2 decades, I think is what she said.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And so,
it's kind of like the residential schools and stuff. Like it just like bums you out to think that you're sending your kid to what you think is like supposed to be a positive and like enriching experience of going to school, and they're just being like mistreated by like adults who fucking know better.
People. Yes, it's
like
disgusting.
And who can clearly overpower them. Like I would be rageful as a parent if I ever found that out. Like murderous.
Yeah,
like
and it was interesting is that again they say that there's no connection, but like Kay and whatever her face like came up there, and she said there's people that work there, and said as soon as the sisters came up there, like everything changed.
That was it.
Everything changed. And like Farnsworth, they're from the community of Jesus. In their like book, it was like we wouldn't be anything without the community of Jesus. So it's like, okay, like how many fingers need to point, things need to line up.
Maybe they shut down and they sent those 2 crazies, or those 2 crazies kind of took it upon themselves to like try and bring it around with all these kids type thing, you know what I mean? And like get them to be the next generation of, and it backfired
big time. So so I'd say you guys go look up Community of Jesus, go look up Grenville Christian College.
Yeah, that one's crazy.
It's just kind of insane. It's again very close knit, but I will vote that yes, I do believe that is a cult. When you start cutting people off and making them like live, breathe, eat, like and abuse and break them down.
Yeah, that's
cult for sure.
Cult behavior for sure.
Yeah, tag you're it.
Yeah. Okay. So I get to do Charles Manson, the Manson murders, and his family, right? So I pretty much synopsised his life, and we'll hit most of it. I'm not going into the murders because y'all can go research that yourself. They're pretty horrific, and I'll cover.
I don't need nightmares.
It's awful. But anywho, let's get into this. I'm reading also from like written papers, so don't judge.
I love it.
So Manson, so I started reading this, and like the first like literal few sentences was like, what? Like his life started rough. So his mom in 1934 was 15 years old when he was born. His dad was 24. So creepy to start.
A good start.
Right? Good start. So his dad, he had a given name of Colonel. So he like convinced Manson's mom that he was in the army and he was a colonel, like in the army. And so when she told him that he was pregnant, or she was pregnant, he told her that he got called away on army business and fucked off. Manson took her second husband's last name.
So fuckboys have been around forever then.
Yeah, so he just had like a really sad and unfortunate, I thought, like 15-year-old mother, like holy hell, like that's
alone
young.
too.
That's way too young.
Yeah.
So, and then from there, like when he was 9, he said he tried to like burn down a school, or he did burn down a school. And it started from there, like petty theft and like truancy and like just small things like that, constantly getting in trouble. So he was in and out of prison from 1951. So he would have been what? If he was born in 34 or 51, do the math. I can't right now. My brain is fried. Yeah. So from 51 to like 67, he was spending more than half his 32 years in prison by that point. And he was in and out for like random things while he was in prison. He got in trouble for like homosexual acts. That's what they called it. So I think he was like caught like raping people in prison and like being creepy. And like he kept extending, and like he'd be up for parole and something would happen. Like he was just in and out constantly, and spent half of his first 32 years of life in prison. Like tragic. Or like just all of kind of institutes. He was in a few mental institutes and like whatever hospitals. So anyways, he then moved to LA because he wanted to be a musician, funny enough. And he like worshiped people like the Beatles, and he had a close working relationship, and did the Beach Boys did a cover of one of his songs.
Wow.
And he was like really close to one of the Beach Boys.
Interesting.
And like he had his ins and stuff in his way in. And I've got a weird little fact at the end where how he was in and around Hollywood, to say the least. Like when he was younger, it was weird. So
not shocked.
Yeah. Right? So after he moved to LA, he was transferred to supervision of the criminology doctoral researcher Roger Smith, instead of like, because when he got out of prison, instead of reporting to his parole officer or whatever, he moved to LA. So he essentially like violated probation, but instead he called and explained and managed to get transferred to under the care of this Roger Smith guy. So he has a really smooth way of talking, I think. Like I think he's like Bundy and like all those creepy dudes. He's very charismatic. He's got that like gift of gab.
He knows how to get people to do what he wants, obviously.
Right? Yeah. Like it's creepy. So anyways, Roger Smith received funding from the NIH and apparently the CIA to study the effects of drugs like LSD and methamphetamines on the counterculture movement. And they did this originally in mice, and like we're testing it small. But then they had this clinic. Where the hell was this clinic? Anyways, I don't remember the name, but they had a clinic, him and this guy, and they used to run the tests out of there. So anyone that went to the clinic was a guinea pig, and the Manson family went often. Like once he got transferred to supervision by him, he brought everyone there. So he was bringing in constant like rotation of people.
Let's bring unstable people into this.
Right. So him and his family, mostly females, they said, were their guinea pigs. And Roger noted that the changes in Manson's personality during use was the most abrupt he had ever observed in his career. So I heard rumors that they let him in and out of prison so many times throughout those years, like I said, and was dosing him with LSD at one point I've just heard there's really weird conspiracies around it. Go look it up. They said that the CIA, like he was a pawn. He was put in jail, and then they'd let him out for something stupid, or he'd get parole, or he'd like get a lower sentence and he'd get out. And then they would like, he was just a back and forth kind of like double agent for like, I don't remember the total details of that conspiracy, but I remember reading something once and I was like, no way. Like, it wouldn't shock me, but like, what? Like, he was in on it? Like, that makes no sense. So, he
as a distraction, maybe.
Seriously, like, messed up through LSD. So, I feel like the following information kind of makes sense, like, how he just went crazy. So, this is the fun part. I found a link between him and one of our other cults that just, like, blew my fucking mind. So, Manson, when he was on LSD, he started reading this book. It was called Stranger in a Strange Land, and it's by Robert A. Heinlein. And he was obsessed with it so much that most of his like philosophies and ramblings and preachings that he did was a combination of Strangers in a Strange Land, the book, the Bible, Dale Carnegie, the Beatles, oddly enough, like some of their philosophy of like free love and like all that, and Scientology. Manson was an OG Scientologist from like 61 to where the hell is it? So he joined in 1961. He had completed over 150 hours of auditing by that point and had been like, he had a friend high up in Scientology too that like really helped him. And that's how he ended up attending like so many parties with celebrities, was through the whole Scientology movement. And I'm pretty sure that probably helped fuel his like, because he really wanted to be a musician, like seriously. So I feel like was his way to like get in there and like promote himself. I just found it so weird. I'm like, shut the hell up. That one of his, the basis of his philosophy, he took a lot of stuff from fucking Scientology of all things. I was like, shut up. And it's like OG Scientology. Like L. Ron, that motherfucker was alive. Like, it's old, right?
That
like
is wild.
I just thought it was like such a
cute circle.
Right?
That's such a cute little circle.
Right.
I mean, the Hollywood part kind of makes sense. Like,
it does. Like the fact
running
that he
around the same kind of people
so bad, and like he wanted to be around affluent people and stuff. So it didn't. It made sense. Yeah. So that was in, what the hell was it? 1960. What would my notes say? That was like 68-ish, I believe. So he then started getting followers. So he started picking up people in like the very like, they were always like troubled, I'll say, like that typical troubled whatever. A lot of them were most of them were women. A lot of them were very vulnerable, and like he would use sex and like compliments to tell them they were beautiful to like ply them in, and he drugged them for sure. Like LSD, I can guarantee you, was used. Like they said, he brought all his followers to that clinic. So he was very much in the same thing as the children there. Children of God was or no, the hell, the one you just spoke about there, in like Community. The breaking them down Jesus. To need, like, you need me type thing. Like he was very much that. So some of the main followers were Charles Tex Watson, who was a musician and former actor, Bobby Beausoleil, which was a musician and a porn actor, Mary Brunner, who was a librarian, which I thought was like, what? Like,
that's so interesting.
Librarian? Like, are you kidding me? Patricia Krenwinkel, who was a process clerk, whatever the hell that is. Huh? Leslie Van Houten, who from what I read is like kind of like a hippie, unemployed. Like she traveled to communes before him and like wanted to live that like commune life for a bit before him. And then Lynette Squeaky Frome, who was a college dropout, who was like just a vulnerable chick who like ended up clumping onto the Manson family and found like family. So from what I could see, the early days and like what he would promote and like their big thing was doomsday cult stuff, like the imminent apocalyptic race war between the blacks and the whites. It was going to be apocalyptic. It was going to be life and like world destroying. So he was like convinced that like the black people were going to like come and kill all the white people, and they were all white supremacists, but he said their group won't get killed because, you know, they are better than everyone else and they're all protected and blah. And
the godlike complex.
Way, and in that way he gave the godlike complex and created himself like as the leader, and like, you need me, like you need to worship me. This is how we stay together and survive the racial apocalypse. Like it was such a weird, when I like read Doomsday, I'm like, okay, so like the earth's gonna end, or like a meteor's gonna strike. A race war is gonna end. I was like, that is just so like, I don't know, far-reaching. Like however, I feel like that's pretty much what they're trying to do all the time. Is just turn everyone against each other. But it was just really weird to like see it so specific on that. And the term, I know a lot of people have heard helter skelter. It was from a Beatles song. I didn't realize that. It was lyrics from a Beatles song or something like that in like the 60s that he took and he like adopted as like, helter skelter was his like, I don't know, his thing. I didn't like it. I remember that from when I was young, and I remember that from like the first time I saw his stuff, and the ever like familiar fucking photo of him with a swastika on his forehead. Like, he just looks like, that image does not come out of your head. Like, no. I've known that face since I was little. Like, it was crazy.
That is so crazy. It's just like, these people really exist in real life. Like,
yeah, like, this is real life stories. This shit happened. Real life stories.
This isn't, and like.
So then after he got those followers, and I think he had at one point, it was like 20 some people, but like the main ones who he had like completely brainwashed and helped him do in 1969 was the Tate and the LaBianca murders. So Sharon Tate was married to Roman Polanski, who is a film director, and I don't know if she's an actress or not. I feel stupid for not even knowing that, but he was a film producer and director, and he was gone filming in Europe, and they broke into her house. She was 8.5 months pregnant. She had 4 house guests, and they killed them all in various ways, mostly stabbings and shootings. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember, I didn't look too much into it because I don't like thinking about it, but I'm pretty sure they like specifically stabbed her stomach too, and like did it was just really nasty.
Made sure that
like,
it was over.
There was also quotes of them saying that Manson didn't essentially, like, they argued that they can't prove that he ordered anything, but they're pretty sure like it was all insinuated and pretty much like he told them what to do, and these people went and killed all these people. He didn't directly kill them.
No.
So so he
psychos.
Right, like I couldn't believe it. So
sorry.
I was just like, dude, like, who, like, go kill for me, like, get fucked. But he ended up telling them to do it as gruesome as possible and to be like as violent as possible. So because he wanted to like bring about the race war, to like bring about that, like, to renew, and like I think it was one of those like, we have to bring it about so then it washes the planet clean and we can restart and blah blah blah, or some whatever the hell. Because because it said he wanted to bring about, I'm like, hey, but he doesn't, he's preaching about the imminent death, but he wants to bring upon that imminent death. Like,
no shit.
What the fuck?
And what does that have to do with like Scientology and the Bible?
Yeah,
even? And,
I was wondering where
Dale Carnegie,
Bible,
like, where does that come from?
Bible, because of like kind of not doomsday, but like natural disasters are not like unknown, and like the flood, and like Sodom and Gomorrah getting like hellfire and shit, and like I get it, but it's just he took it in such a weird direction that I don't know where he got any of that from.
It must be the LSD.
Yeah, well, right? Like who knows how twacked he was on just like everything.
And what does that do long term?
That trial, so they went to trial, and those are the images that we're all used to seeing. Like he had, so at first he started with hair, and he carved an X into his forehead, saying that he was like Xing himself from society or from whatever the hell it was, the system, I think. And he went in a little while later, and he had a shaved head, saying that something about the devil always has a shaved head or some shit. And then his followers did the same thing. They'd come in with X's on their forehead, and then they came in shortly, not right after, but shortly after, with fucking shaved heads and stuff. And these were mostly women. Like, it was just ridiculous. But this trial was the longest in history when it occurred. It lasted 9.5 months. Jesus. It was one of the longest trials, because I feel like they had a lot of people to try. Like, they had a pretty credible witness who was like, for one of the murders, that like had to go on stand and like gave some gruesome accounts. So it was definitely in depth. But in 1971, the jury sentenced all 4 defendants to death. They like went hard on them, and the swastika on his forehead came about when he got interviewed in the 80s 4 times. NBC, CBS, Geraldo Rivera, and Nicholas Schreck. They all interviewed him, which, why are you getting interviewed in jail? Stay in jail. Your story does not deserve to be told. I find that really, like, because victims, I feel like he had connections or something, but like, why the hell are you interviewing him? People just, the obsession with getting in killers' heads is like, I get it. Like, I love CSI. Like, I get the whole like crime obsession that we all seem to have every now and then, but like, there's a difference between those and like glorifying and giving time and airspace to a guy who like did that, and who like giving him the 15 minutes that like he definitely doesn't fucking deserve, and it just bugged me. But he like
research him in the background
on his forehead for one of those, and that's when it came about, the image of him. I'm pretty sure that one was tattooed because that one lasted a while. Yeah, and that was the image of him like all gross and whatever. He got engaged while in prison to a 26-year-old chick who,
I hate our species sometimes.
Dude, she would go and like send him gifts and like always like dote on him and blah blah blah. But then he broke up with her and ended the engagement because he found out and assumed, or like had a hunch, that they just wanted to use his corpse as a tourist attraction once he died, because she was like obsessed with him, and like they wanted to make money off his body once he died. So he called it quits with her.
That's
because he was
an ego.
I thought it was so funny when I read that. I was like, that's interesting. That's really interesting. But yeah, and then he died in 2017, which, call me fucking crazy, like that was not that long ago. I didn't realize that motherfucker lived that long.
Yeah,
I thought he died with like, all that drug abuse. Sure, early 2000s. Yeah,
Is this a Mandela effect?
It was crazy. So he died from cardiac arrest from respiratory failure brought on by colon cancer. So
was it COVID?
Yeah, right. COVID.
It must
Clearly
have been
COVID.
There's obviously.
But yeah, he. I remember him when I was young. I remember seeing like documentaries and like 60-minute stuff and like all those like old school like shows like that.
Most Wanted.
So I remember a lot of like the basic stories, and some of them went more into detail about like the deaths and like whatever. But the amount of information out there on this, and documentaries and like articles and shit, is endless. So like truly, if you don't know of this murder, like, I hate to say it, where the hell have you been living under that rock? Because it is, this one and the next one are just, they're very prolific and they're very prominent, and you'd be hard pressed to find someone that I think doesn't know at least something about this, or know who Charles Manson is.
Yes, absolutely. And just like the darkness that surrounds that name, right? And like that just whole, and so I'll call it's 100% a cult when you've got people murdering for you, like.
And he was just very much of the, like, by the sounds of the worship me. They lived like out in the bush. They're very hippies, free love. They had sex, and like he raped a bunch of people. He was very creepy, and he was very like aggressive, and there was a lot of like that kind of abuse going on for sure, unfortunately. But they were all adults. There was never talk of him going after like young girls.
There's a positive.
Like, I didn't find any where they were like super young. They seemed to be like college dropouts and kind of lost in the sense of like that mid-20s, early
more broken than
late teens, early 20s, kind of like confused, lost, don't know what you're doing with your life, trying to find a purpose type thing. So it was definitely a cult. And the LSD and the abuse and stuff, and like, just, he got people to kill for him. Like, that is an incredible power to have over someone, you know? Like,
half the time I don't even want to clean the house over, you know, like over or clean up after someone.
So
let alone murder for someone.
I'm with you. That is 100% a cult. Like, that is cult mentality. That is a cult following. That is, especially when you call yourself like a family, the Manson family. I feel like, cult.
And it's because they bring it in too, right? And they like you said, it was like lots of love bombing. It's always a love bombing, and you can't do it. And then it's just like they give them everything.
70s, baby.
Yeah, and it's just like when you see in like the bad parts of the porn industry, or pimps, right? They go and help these women, and they're like, now that I've helped you, you owe me. So now you're gonna keep paying me back.
You're part of the family. We love you. We'd never hurt you.
Yeah, you just have to do this for me. Yeah, do it for the family.
Like, his girls in the group were like diehard, and like in the trials and stuff, they did some really clowny ass shit, and like were just like praised on him, and like it was just gross. Like, every chick that talked about him, it's like, I think it's Munchausen syndrome, where you
something like that, where you fall in
like
love,
have not
that's with your abuser.
You like your captor or abuser.
But
it was very much that, like, they were obsessed with him. They worshipped him. Like, they didn't have a bad thing to say about him, and that's the power and control he had over people was really creepy to me. Like,
and I wonder where those girls are now.
Looking. Like, where the fuck are you following that scuzzy, skinny, over-tanned old man around. Like, he better have been a looker when he was young, because he, from what the photos I've seen, is nothing to behold. Obviously, this is back in the day when he was younger, so, like, I get that, but no, but he better have been a cute motherfucker, because I'm
something. Like, you better be a Channing Tatum type looks, not this, like, fucking crusty old
I'll follow Channing Tatum anywhere.
Yeah, off of the earth. Just kidding.
Yes, I will.
Oh, that's amazing. Not amazing, but okay, so let's get a little bit darker. So we're just going to read off Dee's notes here, wrap it up, last little bit here. So the last one we're going to talk about is Jim Jones and Jonestown.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Do you want me to read this? Do you want to read this? How do you feel?
We can do point by point if you want.
Yeah. I'll do the first one. You do the second one?
Yep.
Okay, so... All right, so Jim Jones, James Warren Jones, was born in 1931 in Indiana and was the leader of the People's Temple, a San Francisco-based evangelist group. In the 1950s and 60s, Jones gained a reputation as a charismatic churchman who claimed to have psychic powers, like being able to foretell the future and heal those who were sick. The People's Temple is such a good power. The People's Temple was known for its help to the homeless and people of other races, ethnicities, as he was a big advocate for racial integration and the Messiah of the church. Look at that. See?
Always
start with positive stuff,
I accept that. That's a decent cause.
And I imagine at that time that was really fucking needed, right? Like, so that was probably
like good for
really
him.
A big, good too.
See, this one, the worst part about it all, this one I might have come into. I can do that.
It's got me already. I can do this.
Love everyone.
So,
Who cares, everyone. Right? Like, sign me up.
Sign me up, especially to have psychic powers, like to read the future. Heck yeah. He would convince them to join by providing them food, shelter, family, love, and it worked many times. People thought that they could leave if they didn't like it after joining, but boy, were they wrong. I love Dee. I love your notes.
Yeah, this is the greatest because it isn't her wording.
Yeah,
after convincing many people to join his church and group, he convinced many of them to move to California, where they stayed from 1965 to 1971. So this is the same time as Manson stuff, like right in that same as Scientology, rampant. Like all of them.
All of them.
Right? Until he then scared them with nuclear war attacks. Sounds familiar.
Dun, dun, dun.
To make them move to a jungle in Guyana, South America. She has in brackets, but yeah, in Guyana. Oh my God. Why would you? Where would they live in California to Guyana? That's a
big jump.
Yeah. So that they ended up naming Jonestown. So that's why. So this was also due to the amount of allegations about him, and had people looking for him. So after this, he then went from the Messiah to the prophet. So this is where Jonestown was coined, I guess. Yeah, and he went from Messiah to prophet.
To motherfucking prophet, y'all. Like, that's like OT9 level. We're up at the OT9 level. We're at the top.
I love it.
We are the God's anointed.
Yeah. It's top. Always the God complex.
It is always the God complex.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's it. And again, moving so that they don't get in trouble. Do you see? Like, getting their name as a religious.
That one was nuclear war. That one's a pretty hard one to dispute. That's a big one. You need to get away from that. So
you need to get away.
That makes that big leap understandable now. I get why they did that.
I understand this now. I get you.
I get it.
So his treatment to people was less than humane. He confiscated passports and millions in dollars in assets from his followers and manipulated them with beatings, blackmail, humiliation, brainwashing, and probable death. He would also make them practice mass suicide and group assassination often enough to prepare them for the eventual realistic event.
They ran fucking fire drills for this shit?
Fire drills for mass suicides. I'm probably going to get kicked off YouTube for this, saying these words.
Mass unalivings?
Unalivings? Like, what does that... I don't want to know what that looks like.
That's next level.
And like,
wow.
that really does wear you out in your brain though, right? Because you're really thinking about that. Like, you're accepting
it's
it
in your head every day, all day, because
right?
you're having to go through that, right? Jesus.
They were always random, and everyone was always scared shitless, thinking it was the real deal, as he scared them into thinking the U.S. government and other outsiders were going to come after them eventually and kill them all, especially to the people of color, which were majority of the followers. That son of a bitch So he used that and then completely turned it against them.
Dude, that's next level. He went right into the psychological, saying that you don't know when they're coming. I feel like that's pretty like standard. They're like, you don't know when the apocalypse is coming. But
and listen to me, I know the answers.
To the point that you're gonna run drills for unaliving people and like what to go do when you go through this to like get it in people's like that's ugly. That is fucking ugly.
That is so dark. We knew we were gonna end it dark. This is why we're gonna end it dark and go on to a new topic, y'all, so we can sleep at night. Jesus.
So reporters and U.S. government members had flown to their little community in the jungle to speculate what was going on, and as they were trying to leave with a few followers who wanted to go with them, a few were shot so no word could get out. Of course, the fucking Scientology right there, just take them out, right? Same with any members that tried to leave, they'd be killed. So since some of the U.S. members and reporters escaped, he knew it wasn't long until they came for him. So right after that, he then activated the Unalive Plan, which was the real tragic event. Oh my God, I get to read the part. He commended his followers to drink cyanide-altered punch. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. To which most obeyed, and the rest were injected and forced. They gave it to babies and children first. I don't like that I have to read that out loud. And then the adults. So 918 died that day. 304 under the age of 18. So a third of that, or like a third of that group was under the age of 18.
Essentially children.
And very, very few escaped, made it out of the cult alive, these numbers making it one of the largest mass deaths in American history. So I'm really cool and stoked that I got to read that bullet point because it is like the don't drink the Kool-Aid moment. But I did not realize, and the fact that they gave it to the babies and children first.
And I wonder if it was like this, like, I don't know, because sometimes there's people that get through these like conspiracies and like deep stuff that they're like, we have to take all of our whole entire family, and then they take the whole entire family. Like, is that what they think, that they all go and do this and then they're all gonna pass, like that they can't like leave their kids go on because where they're going to is I'm not saying that they're right.
They're not
just trying to understand
the world isn't going to be the way it needs to for them to live in it.
Yes,
or there.
So they have to take them with them. It's just fucked up thought patterns.
That is gross. 918 people died, like dropped dead. Like it looked like a freaking like one of those things that you could get flies in. It was just dead everywhere. Like you can't imagine.
And at once, could you imagine? And like to think that they were going to come and like kill you, and then you kill your. I'm just, what were they?
I don't like. I wonder what he said.
Like
you know they were going to come and kill them for what? For living in the jungle? Like what was his angle with that? That's
and then
insane.
So like, what was his angle when your past life? So if you if you unalive yourself, that's okay. But if someone else is coming to kill you in a nuclear war, that's not okay way to pass. You know what I'm saying?
God's plan. Like how do you justify that?
Was it like a spiritual, like, I don't know. It
That's
said then
crazy.
Like the coward he is, he shot himself. In the end, only one man was tried, Larry Layton, for his involvement in the mass killing and sentenced to life.
He freaking shot himself. He didn't even drink the damn Kool-Aid with him. What a freaking dick.
And not to laugh, but apparently through reading some of this stuff, I guess Kool-Aid was like very upset, and it's just like, it's not actually
They want
Kool-Aid.
nothing to do with this shit.
They want nothing to do with it. It's just like not the same thing. It's punch, not the same thing. I'm like, I could imagine that was a PR fucking nightmare. Like,
dude.
Abort. I don't want to be a part of this.
This next bullet just answered the question we had a second ago. Many people thought he was powerful enough to cast spells, read minds. Like he had them convinced he could do basically anything, according to Danielle. So we were scared of him as they knew he'd use his powers for evil. So this guy legit told him that he had magical Merlin powers. And like, what is that? That you believe that?
There's so much ego. And like, where in his mind does he think that?
No.
Like, Did he just shoot people and then think he's magic because he made a gun shoot something? I think like that came.
Egotistical turd. Like, what the hell is that?
Well, let's figure out a little bit more about him then. He ended up being a drug addict. Not sure which ones, but the articles make them seem very out of this world, and that's why he acted and thought the way he did in the end. Drugs were bad in the community. Yeah, or like maybe like peyote or like ayahuasca. Acid. Like, does he go somewhere on a different trip and like, you know what I mean?
I'm thinking acid, LSD, ayahuasca or something.
So I guess drugs were bad in the community, but not for Jimmy Boy, DSD says. He would drug people sometimes to keep them from leaving and to control people in different ways. The drugs ended up making him paranoid, hence always practicing the event and going through with the event itself. He'd make people sign papers meaning they can't ever leave. Sound familiar? That he must have got that from Scientology.
Yeah.
And it would also have forms of blackmail on them. So if they did try, he'd have something against them. Again,
so very drugs that make you paranoid. I wonder if he was on meth or something.
Maybe like bath salts. I'm just kidding.
Right? Like what the hell? What a crazy. He would drug people. What is the drugging people?
Or like maybe
I don't like that.
Maybe it's also like weird, like mushrooms, like bad mushrooms, like some sort of weird poisoning that made you go crazy or something. I don't know. I've never done them, but I don't know.
That is
back
so
then,
weird.
Would they have? And it would have to be something in the bushes. Like, you know what I mean? Like something.
And the blackmail in like a contract, like
that's very Scientology, and
that is a lot of them, right? Sign your life
Same
away.
Shit. Sign it away.
So the People's Temple community ended up building their own church, health clinic, housing, shared kitchens, fields for crops and animals, etc. As he wanted his own full functioning utopian community, which ended up being scary with guards with guns. Jim Jones always yelling crazy shit on the loudspeaker as he's that he had set up everywhere.
Sorry, it's not funny, but it's funny when you think it like in your head for a minute, like outside of that.
Fuckers just on the stage, like I just picture, or like weird like preachings and shit. Like you have to listen to that shit all day. Imagine you're sitting there just like brushing your teeth, and it's like, like
Jimmy's at it again.
Like no one cares.
No, this son of a bitch again.
I seriously like can foresee like the entire building, and everyone's just like it's like an all-encompassing eye roll.
Yeah,
just like,
this shit again. Oh, he must be on the LSD again
every day.
Yeah, it's fucking 4 a.m. Go to bed, Jimmy. Get off of the ecstasy. Put it down. Stop licking the frog. Just go to bed. Okay, let's learn a little bit about his early stages before we wrap up here. So, not shocking, he was neglected as a young boy, had very sad, poor childhood. He was denied all forms of affection and even the basic needs. However, do not take pity. It's the same as Jeffrey Dahmer's situation, laugh aloud, but goes to show what you can come out of such terrible young lives. Jim found refuge in churches where he met his only father figure, the priest, which led him into wanting and becoming a preacher. He loved it at such a young age to the point where he'd go and pick up roadkill and make people do ceremonies with him, leading to having no friends and people thinking he was strange. A very Dahmer situation.
Yes.
Like I get like
people thought you were strange. Let's go pick up that dead possum and do a ceremony.
Yeah.
Like, get fucked.
Like I can understand like being sad and like wanting to bury it and like having that like compassion to an animal, but I just don't feel like Jim Jones was the type that had any compassion, so I don't think that that's what it was for.
I buried a squirrel with a girlfriend when we were young. We found it dead on the street.
Yeah.
It was really tragic.
That's sad.
But like I didn't go around purposely like picking them up to bury them and give them ceremonies and like funerals with my friends and like wear like toilet paper,
gonna go
like
search for
sad
dead
veil.
rodents.
Yeah, like what is that? That's a creepy thing.
That is a very creepy. Sorry. It's a very Dahmer thing. That's a very Dahmer thing.
So he ended up. Oh my god, he ended up learning the phony tricks to being a faith healer and used this to his full advantage and did that for a while before creating the People's Temple and his cult. So I wonder if he was like selling the full like I can heal you, I got
psychic powers,
like clear your
I see your future.
Oh, that's dark. Because I feel like people that are going to like spiritual, like they're on like trying to be on a positive journey and you like
taking advantage
of them.
Yep.
Interesting. Yep. What a creepy man.
Oh, this is interesting too. He had sex with both male and
I don't
female
like the next
followers and churchgoers, but claimed to not be bisexual and that he was doing it for healing of the men and not for him. So he had a healing.
We looked at that at the same time, B. We're like, the second word. Oh, we're like, sex. Great. What is this about?
What is this? Thanks, D.
He was healing the men.
Yeah, and not him. It wasn't for him.
That's why he had homosex.
Yes, because his penis was healing. He had a healing. That is got to be.
Just accept it, Father.
But also, like, is this where this started? Where it's like my dick is healing? Like, is this like one of the very first like fuck boys?
Dude, that could have been an angle he ran for some of them for sure.
Like, I'll heal you of your
I
gayness.
got that magic penis.
Yeah, or like the guys like at that time too, like trying to hide from like gay, like, oh, my dick will cure you of your gayness or something. Not saying that needed to happen, but back then, I imagine that wasn't an easy time. Like,
I will cure you of homosexuality by screwing you in the bum.
I haven't managed. I'm just saying, like, I could see.
I just cannot.
Well.
Wow, I mean, so this kind of does have a little bit of a like yucky twist.
It had a very yucky twist, yeah. You want to read the last ones?
Yeah. The Liberals supported Jim Jones and his temple at the beginning. Shocker. Yeah, Danielle.
Shocker, so shocked. Hold on.
Liberals supported Jim Jones.
Oh, yeah. Where was it? Oh, I can't. Oh, I don't have it on here. Was it? Yes. Here it is. Hold on.
Shocker.
Oh, it's not going to work. Can you hear it? Oh, there it goes.
I bet you found those.
I did.
That was the first official time we've tried one of those in a recording.
Yeah.
That was great.
I
can't wait to use the
I'll learn how to do those quieter, guys. I think I probably gave everyone a heart attack.
I love those. That's great.
We were playing one day. Obsessed. Yeah, me and Haley were playing one day and we found some stuff. So anyways, guys, so that was fun going
But yeah, that's what Dee had.
Yeah, so Community of Jesus.
She did really good. That was a lot.
Yeah, that was perfect. It was read nice.
I think, quite honestly, comparable. Like, we all did some pretty, like, front to back research. Yeah. Like, tried to get, like, the full picture.
Always.
Shit.
I know. I think we did great. Look at us, our first month. It's been so much fun. You guys, I hope, let us know what you guys think. Look at us. Who would have thought? We actually did, like, some research. We brought, like, some things to you and read stuff. Right. Not just, like, talking about.
And this was a nice ending for this because, like, I'm a little done with the negative. I have loved talking about the cults. But, yeah, let's move on to some a little, like, more upside positive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the next month, I don't know if they're not as
but I mean,
like dark and murder and like just makes you feel gross and sad,
and weird
and very sad. Like the ones that we're talking about most of the next month, which we're talking about operations, all different government projects, operations, weird stuff. You know, we've hit on a few of them throughout the seasons, but really jump in with our new. I'm going to ask her before I announce who she is, coming on to help us bringing articles and more information. I wish I would have brought her on for cults, but I think we all did a really good job getting the baseline of everything. And I hope you guys go and
I think we'll get some positive in with our new
being real with. Yes.
So
I'm so
think that's
excited.
Where we can add our positive sparkle.
Yes. And by the time this one airs, I think we would have had 2 or 3 out. So yours would be out by the time this one airs, this episode.
Oh my god.
Yeah, your first like
I apologize to all the viewers for having to stare at me looking like a thumb in that hat.
Oh my god,
but the lighting in my basement is less than ideal. I'm working on it.
What's his name? The thumb. What's his name again off of the show? Off of Fiance. Is it 90 Day Fiance or
oh my god. This little dude with no neck.
With no neck. I can't remember his name anyways.
What the hell is his name?
Every time I say thumb, that's the person I think about. But anyways.
He was an awful
little fucker. But yeah, we have lots of good Being Reals coming up with new guests, old guests, all over the map of stuff, guys. As always, if you want to be a part of it, you want your own segment, we would love to have you on.
If you have something to say, we can have a Being Real with you.
Yeah, whoever you are. Your name, blank, insert here. But yeah, guys,
yeah, we can do that too. Just voice.
Yeah, just voice. You don't
have
to
be anonymous. If you don't want to show who you are or set up a video.
Yeah, we can hide your face. We can't really hide your voice yet. I'm not quite there, but without your face or your name, we can give you an alias too if it's
you have one of those like really weird like you are now. Blah,
blah. I'm not there yet, guys. Like, but it wouldn't be the first time. CJ is completely under an alias, and you never see him. So Like, we don't even know. Maybe we should ask him. We're just gendering him. Maybe we should have him on. That's the next Being Real with. We should have Being Real with CJ.
Yeah.
We should bring him back on, speaking of.
For sure. That would be a good one.
This month has been so much fun, you guys. Like we said, it's been really dark, so we're ready. We're glad to end it here. We're excited to go into the next month. I'm sure
cults are fun to get into, though.
They are.
I'm sure we could do another month with all sorts of different ones, but it was a good start, and I think we picked some really good ones to cover.
Yeah, and I would challenge you guys to go back and listen to all of them and think of why we would pick talking about cults, especially over the last little bit. Like, do you see some familiar behaviors and
the psychology behind it? Think about it.
Yeah, the like exclusion and the you're not one of us.
Mental breakdown.
Brainwashing. You know, like there's methods to our madness, guys. We don't just talk about stuff to talk about stuff.
Yeah, it's just to make you think, putting it in there, planting some seeds.
Yeah, go look it up.
As they would say.
Yes, there's lots of people that talk about this. But anyways, guys, Hales, this was amazing. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for wrapping up the month of Cults or Not.
Best episode ever. But I think that of all of them.
I know, every time I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm like, next one, I'm like,
best episode ever.
The next one is going to be the best one ever. But all right, guys.
No,
we did it. We did the damn thing. We've looked at cults or not. Let's jump into government operations, projects, mind control, weather control, healthcare shit. It's going to be a good one. And then we're going to be talking about pharma after that too. Like we said, sprinkled in with the Being Reals with, and that's our jam too. So you guys, we really fucking hope that you've been loving the first month of season 5. There's so much more to come. But until next time, till next episode, bye. Thank you guys for stopping by the show today. We appreciate you so much. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, make sure to show us some love on our Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest page, the Be Real Babe Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube and Rumble channels, like those episodes, and turn on the notification bells. You can find our video version of the show on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify, or you can catch the audio version on Apple and Google Podcast. But stay tuned for more realness coming to you soon. Until next time, babes.